And Tom Brady, we know. Now, we don't know that he will be playing for the Buccaneers in 2022, but he is under contract now through 2022. And only Tom Brady can pull off this feat where, while taking less, he ends up getting more. He does that all the time. I took less. What'd you get? I got more. He was supposed to get $25 million this year. He's getting $41 million, at least earning $41 million this year. What they did, he was supposed to make $25 million this year, second year of a 2-year, $50 million deal. He has a new 2-year, $50 million deal. The way it's broken down, he earns $41 million this year, but he gets $15 million of that next year. So he's really not getting much more this year. They got the voidable years on the back end, the new device for teams to take cap space and shove it into future years. He created $19.3 million in cap space for the Bucs. End of the day, he's basically got the same deal. And there's a neat little twist what the Bucs did here. If he would retire after this year, they don't have to go chase him for unearned bonus money. They just don't pay him the $15 million that got pushed into next year as part of the signing bonus. So if he stays, he gets $50 million over the next 2 years, and there's no reason to think he won't stay. People were amazed that Tom Brady did a deal that puts him on a contract through the year that he turns 45. He's been saying for almost 45 years he's going to play until he's 45.
Right.
So why are we surprised by that?
I'm not surprised. No, definitely not. And especially with the way that team's fixed and, ready to go right now. I mean, one of the better O-lines in football, the weapons, everything like that. I mean, I don't, again, 2 years, I'm not putting it out of the realm of possibility. Certainly not. I mean, I think we're still going to see a really good Tom Brady this year. And this just leaves the door open. I mean, again, I don't know. What does this mean? Does this mean they're going to be able to get Shaq Barrett, Mike? Do you think this move was all about that, or is it other things on the roster they're trying to get accomplished?
I doubt that you were reading any PFT over the weekend.
Not all the time, but usually I'm over it. Yeah,
I had an item yesterday that listed all the pass rushes, something you and I have discussed. I decided to actually, roll up the sleeves and do some work. Looked up all the pass rushers are going to be available. And Von Miller may still be available by the time it's all said and done. There's so many pass rushers out there. I think the Buccaneers, instead of paying huge money to Shaq Barrett, they're going to look for another Shaq Barrett. They paid him 1 year, $4 million. In 2019, he was coming off of 5 years with the Broncos where he had 14 total sacks in those 5 years combined, and he had 19 and a half sacks in Todd Bowles' system. For what you're going to pay Shaq Barrett to keep him, why not sign 2 pass rushers and somebody else? So I just think it gets back to dollar for dollar value. That's going to be such a key message this year. What do you think you're getting for the investment? I think for what it's going to take to sign Shaq Barrett, when you consider there's going to be some other team out there that's going to want to hold up the jersey and say, we got the top defensive player from the Buccaneers championship run of 2020. Fine. Great. Enjoy your payday. We're going to spend that money elsewhere on some of these other great pass rushers who are going to be much, much, much cheaper than Shaq Barrett. I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. It does. It really does. I think when you think of the grand scheme of their football team and where it goes to, because you mentioned the players they got there. All right, there's still a lot of good on that D line, even without Shaq Barrett. And I think we both have mentioned this, number of times. When you got Vita Vea, who is going to be up for contract in a few years. And when again, as we've talked about it a lot, when he's healthy, he's one of the more disruptive defensive tackles in football. And then Devin White coming up here in the next 2 years, year and a half.
After this season.
Right.
After this season, he's eligible.
That's where I gotta think they're looking at it going, well, how much money can we possibly put into the front seven here in the future? And maybe this is one they take your approach, Mike. Get one of those guys. Maybe a 1 or 2 year deal in a weird year. You might get, who knows, you could get a Leonard Floyd in a year like this for 2 year deal that averages 14 or 15 million a year and go, well, we'll take that rather than, Shaq Barrett at 20 million a year right now and having to pay out all that big money too.
Or you just do what the Patriots are going to do. You wait and you wait and you wait and you wait, and then they're calling you
bargain
because
shopping.
They're saying, you know what, I'm not getting the deal that I wanted, so I'm going to come join forces with Tom Brady. I mean, this is the year to do it for pass rushers. We know how important they are. Look at the item at PFT. Go to the search function, pass rushers. It'll take you to the story. Put in Shaq Barrett's name. It was yesterday morning. There are a ton. There are 14 pass rushers in the PFT top 100 free agency list, and none of them were franchise tagged. So they're out there, and I think that's what the Buccaneers are going to do. And speaking of Vita Vea, He's currently eligible for a new contract. We don't know how aggressively he's clamoring for a new deal. He had that injury last year that caused him to miss a lot of the season.
Right.
Guys want their security. Guys want their value. Guys want to shift the injury risk from them to the team. He could be saying, I want mine now. We know Devin White's going to want his and deserve his after this season. So I think we're onto something here.
Yeah.
I think the Bucs realize that one of the casualties of winning the Super Bowl is that they didn't want to pay $18.99 million to tag Shaq Barrett again and have him for one more year. Let's just redirect that money elsewhere, and let's try to find another Shaq Barrett. We found him 2 years ago. Let's try to find another one.
You're right. A lot of avenues, and you mentioned some of the names. You know, the Olivier Vernon's, they'd be a guy you'd look at and go, he's not going to get huge money, but still got some, gas in the tank. That makes sense. Melvin Ingram, let's not forget about him with the Chargers. He's going to fit that mold of where it's like, a 2-year deal, probably a decent amount of money in year one, and we'll see if he can earn year two and those type of things. So, Mike, I did see your article yesterday, just so you know. And, yeah, I think that is a very real aspect. And you're right. The Bucs are one of those teams that makes a lot of sense. And again, they have an elite unit really there already. And you just can't make one unit so strong and have so much resources as far as money that it ruins your rest of your team for the future too. So I think we are onto something, Mike. I'm with you.
Just consider this. Consider this. And I'm going to go ahead and do this now. I pulled up the article. And,
Right.
and I'm not going to read as fast as the guy in the old FedEx commercials who would just like rattle things off. But just if you're interested in what's going to be out there, Bucs fans, Matthew Judon, Carl Lawson, Hassan Reddick, Trey Hendrickson, Leonard Floyd, Bud Dupree, Yannick Ngakoue, Romeo Okwara, Carlos Dunlap, Justin Houston, Olivier Vernon, Ryan Kerrigan, Danico Autry, Alden Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, Melvin Ingram, John Simon, Everson Griffin, Marcus Golden, Bruce Irvin, all unrestricted free agents.
Yeah,
all of them.
Right. Yeah, that's a hell of a list, and you're right. You would think you're going to find somebody from there that's going to get a pretty good bargain, not have to spend $20 million a year and still get good production. So they're sitting pretty, the Bucs, and good for Brady. Gets a little more money right now, whatever. But the Bucs are looking like a team to be reckoned with once again in 2021.
And look, he could have taken actually less, but there's a point where, hey, he's the reason.
Yes.
You told the story about your dad being down in Tampa for the Super Bowl, and you can't find a jersey other than Tom Brady because
Right.
that's the only one people want to buy.
Right.
They're going to fill that stadium this year. They're going to fill that stadium next year, every week. I mean, he reached 4 years ago when they beat the Falcons in Super Bowl 51.
Yeah, that was 51.
51.
It was, yeah.
That's when he reached that Michael Jordan, you must be able to
Right.
tell your grandchildren you saw this guy play level. That's where he is, and it's even stronger now with 7 Super Bowl wins as he goes for number 8. They're going to make a ton of money off of this guy, and even $25 million. When you look at the greater scheme of the quarterback
that's
position,
nothing.
it's nothing. Dollar for dollar, we talk about dollar for dollar value. Tom Brady at $25 million or 26 or whatever they ended up making the final number. That's a pretty damn good value when you consider the top of the market's 45. Dak Prescott's getting 40. Russell Wilson's at 35. 25 is a pretty damn good deal for a guy who came in and transformed the culture of a franchise
That's
and
right.
the success of a franchise in 1 year.
Yeah. No, that's the value to me. I mean, yeah, he's not one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football at this point of his career, but he's still damn good. And he brought that aspect, that value to the team. You can't quantify that part of it. He brought the polish, the confidence, the grittiness to the football team to believe that we can win these tough football games, all of that stuff. That's what they were missing, and that's where Brady really was unbelievable. And, yeah, Mike, I mean, it's legendary status. It's a whole different stratosphere of what he is in our country now with 7 Super Bowls, being Tom Brady, everything like that. I'm glad he didn't take less, like we talked about. He's too big now to be taking, $1 million a year or anything like that. There's too much value to Tom Brady and that name behind it.
That said, and this is a little nod for our friends in the UK and Ireland, soccer star, the other football star, David Beckham, on the beach with Tom Brady, looking like a member of the Green Bay Packers defense, intercepting Tom Brady. Here's the video. Brady, it was a bad route, and then the guy just stood there. You're asking for an interception. I know it's always the quarterback's fault, but he kept telling the guy, go deep, and the guy didn't believe him. And he just kind of stood there. Now, there's another pick. That's just not good.
But no, the first one's the best one too, because I wish if we could go back to the first one. Yeah, you're right, because when I think Beckham intercepts it, first off too, he runs the wrong direction. That's where I was like, this guy, he's obvious. Look at him. He's going off the side. Dude, the end zone's the other way. What are you talking about?
It's
Come
Jim
on.
Marshall.
But that's really cool to see those two together, and that warm weather looks really nice too. Brady, you could tell his knee is not totally like normal though. Like as you watch those videos, you can see he's a little ginger with that left knee still, so probably rehabbing that thing right now.
He's had surgery.
Yep.
He's announced that. He's got the wrap on it at all times. Bruce Arians, the head coach of the team, has said he'll be good to go for 7-on-7s in June. So it's got to be hard for him to be out of that routine and not be able to go as hard as he otherwise would. I'm sure he's still finding ways to keep himself in shape.
Definitely.
But a different kind of thing for him. And that left knee, that was the one that was collapsed by Bernard Pollard week 1, 2008, and had the torn ACL and other damage, and he had an infection, and it was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I'm telling you, this guy's working on his third Super Bowl bust. He's got the pre-2008 bust. He's got the 2014 through 2018 bust, and now he's working on bust number 3 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.